The bill was passed yesterday and we are very happy as citizens of Uganda. Culturally, we don't accept homosexuality, lesbianism, LGBTQ. We cannot, as Africans. We want to produce. We want everything to run normally.
As many may already know, but just recently, the small African country of Uganda just passed an anti-homosexuality bill, which basically criminalizes someone who identifies as gay, and that homosexual acts can be punishable by life in imprisonment.
In our country, we will have our morals. We will protect our children. And we are making this law. We are making this law for ourselves. We are making this law for our children. We are making this law for the children of our children. This country will stand firm. And once it passed, I can tell you, Madam Speaker, we are going to reinforce the law enforcement officers to make sure that homosexuals have no space in Uganda.
Now, although I'm not pro-LGBTQ, I totally disagree with this law, as I believe that an adult, law-abiding citizen should have access to their human rights, which includes in how they identify themselves sexually. What another person does in their bedroom, it's not for me to judge. I have no heaven or hell to put you in. So when the White House speaks out against this, I have to admit, this is one of the few times where I actually agree with the Biden administration.
I want to say one thing at the top. We have grave concerns with the passage of the Anti-Homosexuality Act, AHA, by the Parliament of Uganda yesterday, and increasing violence targeting LGBTQI+ persons. If the AHA is signed into law and enacted, it would impinge upon universal human rights, jeopardize progress in the fight against HIV/AIDS, deter tourism, and invest in Uganda and damage Uganda's international reputation. The bill is one of the most extreme anti-LGBTQI+ laws in the world.
Now, this should not be shocking news, because Uganda in the recent past has introduced some anti-homosexuality bills before. Like I believe in 2009, they attempted to pass one which will lead to death if someone is found to be engaging in aggravated homosexual acts. And many countries in Africa are known to have laws that deem homosexuality as illegal. So I don't want to hear no gay brothers or sisters, be talking about, hey, I want to go live back in the motherland because your ass might not be able to come back. And that's my angle on this. America is a great country. It may not be the greatest, and it certainly isn't perfect. But to me, it's better than a lot of other countries out there. So we need to do more to preserve the country, and not always engage in dividing the country. For example, me as a black person, whenever I hear somebody, badmouth white people just because they're white, or, they call a disgruntled white woman a Karen, I push back against that because it wasn't right when it was done to us over over 50 years ago. Therefore, it's not right to do it now. We shouldn't have a double standard because eventually it just leads us to becoming, hypocrites. We will become the type of people our ancestors once hated. Same thing can be said here for the LGBTQ community. They need to stand up against any type of, social justice warrior or advocacy groups or corrupt politicians and numerous media lies. The ones that look to push for special rights and privileges that cross the boundaries with your average citizen. I mean, when you read about the Stonewall riots and the gay liberation in the 1960s, they were not advocating for trans women to go to the same bathroom as biological women. Or for kids to be able to go to drag shows. No, they were advocating for human rights and to be who they are in public. And they have that, plus more. But what's happening in America nowadays is definitely being watched by the people of Uganda. If you notice, that lawmaker, he emphasized protecting our children and our children's children. This is what we should be doing here in America at all times. I know some gay people, who totally agree with this. And they need to advocate hard against rhetoric like this.
When you were here in July of 2022,
yes,
we talked about how Florida Governor DeSantis had just filed a complaint against a bar called the R House that holds drag shows. Okay, 8 months later, things have only escalated. As we talk about it, it's constant aggravation with this. What do you make of the fact that we're still talking about this, and that it's happening in other states too, not just Florida?
Yeah,
there's this war against trans people, which is
LGBTQ plus people and people who are othered.
And cabaret people.
And cabaret people. It's a circle of life.
Yeah. Why are they doing it?
For power.
Yeah.
Everything is about power, and you could always trace it back to the money. You say that all the time.
Yeah. Follow the money.
It's follow the money, follow the power at any cost. It's very hypocritical. The leading cause of death in children are guns.
Yes. Yeah.
They're guns.
Yeah.
I know it's the morning and I'm not supposed to be screaming, but they're guns.
Yeah.
Not drag queens.
Not drag queens.
No.
Leave us alone.
Yes.
And it's a distraction. What are we doing? And everybody's so scared because, if we do that, then we might have a civil war. We're already in a civil war, y'all. It's a civil war of the mind. They're messing with our minds. We're already in it.
This ain't no war against trans people. It's not. This is a war against indecent exposure to children. This is a war against depravity in our society. And for Billy Porter to use a red herring by saying, guns are the number one killer of children, it's just very misleading. When there are more abortions committed before they even become children. And yes, abortion is murder. Let's call it what it is. If you had to do something to end something, that means you had something, a potential life. So once again, this bill in Uganda, in my opinion, is wrong, as this is a person's choice or option or whatever to be gay or trans. And this bill in Uganda is just a constant reminder of how great a country America is, with the rights and liberties we have and how we should cherish it and not engage in minute issues that cause microaggressions, like using preferred pronouns. I don't use them, and I discuss why you shouldn't either.